Hello, my beautiful, beautiful friend. Welcome back to the Meant to Bloom podcast, where we talk real life motherhood struggles and simple steps to a brighter, more abundant life in mind. I'm here to walk with you on this journey to the life that you're meant to be living, full of peace, joy, and love. I'm your host, Brittany Clarkson, and it's time to see the world through rose colored glasses. Let's make shift happen. Um, Today, we are in October. It is Depression Education and Awareness Month, and I am just going hard on a lot of the studies that I've been reading recently, some of the research, and the tips that, all the mental health practices, all the daily to do things that changed my lifestyle that helped me recover from just being stuck in the depths of sadness and depression and despair. It's what I say helped me to start building ladders instead of building, or helped me stop building ladders out of this pit of depression and start building bridges over it. Um, because we can't control when we're going to come across a depressive episode. You can't control when you're going to come across trauma and just disaster and chaos. Things happen in life that you can't control, but you can control yourself. You don't have to go down into the pit. You don't have to let life just pile on top of you. You can build a bridge. You can get over it. In the simplest way of saying, we can get through this. And it doesn't have to involve just getting into the deepest, most saddest part of living, right? Um, we don't have to do that to ourselves. We don't have to beat ourselves up just because something bad and negative or sad is happening to us. We can get through it. And I'm here to share with you the ways that I make my mind a friendly place. Okay. And these are all psychology based, evidence based, backed, and all of that. Um, so, to really talk about today's episode, I feel like I have to backtrack a bit and talk about me hitting my rock bottom, the worst time in my life. My very last true depressive episode where I let it just pull me under and where I let my mind be this toxic place that just made everything worse. Um, this was when my whole life changed. And it came to me changing my lifestyle and changing my mindset, really changing the way I allow myself to think about things. Um, yeah. And so that was June of 2020. It was a hard time for everyone. I had, let's see, February, March, April, May, June. I had a 4-month-old baby, 3-month-old baby at the time. I'd been isolating for a very long time to prepare for birth, to try to not get sick through the holidays. And then COVID happened. And then my baby, it was rough. Depression really, really pulled me under. I'd been in counseling in April of that year, thinking that, like, yes, it's going to be fine. And then June hit, and I was like, no, I didn't make any lasting change. I'm right back where I started. I can't keep doing this. And I wanted to end my own life. And I had this moment where I'm walking out in the woods in the rain, and I call it my rebirth. It was my spiritual baptism. This is where I felt God calling out to me saying, you have more to do here. And that's when I decided for the first time ever that I was not going to end my life. Not then, not ever. Times before, I had always just kind of pressed the pause button, said, we'll deal with this later. I really don't want to be alive, but I'm not going to make any choices right now. And then I would come out of the depressive episode. So this was really the first time where I ever decided I want to stay alive. I have more to do here. I am the right and best mom for my children. I was put here for a purpose, and I'm ready to find out what that was. And so this was the day that changed everything because I hit rock bottom and I decided to make a change. And one of those big, big changes, because as I'm coming out of the woods, I say, well, I can't keep going how I'm going because if I end up here again, I might not be strong enough to say no to the exit plan, right? So I had to make these changes in my life. And the first biggest change I made was changing the way I allow myself to think and speak to myself. I used to never fight against it when I thought that I wasn't enough. I used to never fight against it when I told myself that I wasn't a good wife, I wasn't a good mom, I wasn't a good person. Um, I had very little self-worth at the time, and I wasn't fighting against it for the longest time. Now, this was a habit that I'd had for a very long time, was allowing these negative thoughts to come in and to stay and to ruminate on them, which made everything so much worse. So that when depressive episodes came in, it really made me sad and it really stole my self-worth from me because I already had these thoughts in place that had become beliefs that turn into, what influences your actions, right? So I was living life as someone who had no self-worth, someone who thought she wasn't worth living. That's not a good place to be. Okay. And if you're there right now, like I am reaching out my hand to you, I'm reaching out my heart to you, I'm giving you the biggest hug in the world. You are worthy, you are valuable, you are important, you have something that you are here to do. And that's what meant to bloom is. You're meant to bloom into that person. You might just be a seed right now. You've got this hard shell on you, buried in a dark place, feeling like the world is just closed in around you. That's what you need in order to grow, right? As a seed, you need to be buried. Um, so don't see this as a negative place to be. See it as your starting point. It's all up from here, right? It's all growth from here. And that is such a beautiful place to be. And so when I was in that place, when I was at my rock bottom, when I felt most buried, when I had really just dug myself a hole and buried myself in it, it was changing the way I allow myself to think and talk about myself that really, really made the biggest change. Okay. A lot of times people talk about positive affirmations because your words are powerful and important. But here's the thing with affirmations is sometimes we really just don't believe them. And when you're saying something to yourself that you do not believe, you can feel a lot of resistance and you can feel actually like a sense of panic and anxiety because it feels dishonest and inauthentic to you. It feels like it's complete sham, which kind of makes your feelings worse because it reinforces these feelings of, not feeling totally worthy, not feeling like you know who you are, where you belong. Um, so that being said, there is a way to come up with affirmations that are very powerful that don't feel fake and phony. And part of that is doing a thought inventory first. And I will link below um, a printable thought inventory for you that is totally free for you to just go ahead and download. I think you will have to give me your email address, but you can always unsubscribe if you hate hearing from me. But I really hope you don't hate hearing from me. Um, anyways, so do a thought inventory. And in this, what you're going to do is you're going to pay attention to what you're thinking about yourself and your life and your surroundings and the people in your life. And you're going to start taking note of the bad things that you're thinking. Keep track of it so that you can really see it. And then after about a week, sometimes it might only take a day if you're really, really paying attention to your thoughts. Or it might take up to a week because sometimes we forget to record what we're thinking. We think things on autopilot and we don't notice what we're thinking, right? But the challenge is really to start pay attention to what you're thinking, how you're speaking about yourself in your own mind and your life, and start pulling out what those negative thoughts are. Okay. And once you have this thought inventory, or maybe you can just sit down and brain dump. Just write down right now all the negative things you think about yourself, all of those limiting beliefs, all of your self-criticism. Let that voice of negativity and criticism just be unleashed on your journal and write it all out so you can see it. All right, that is a really powerful practice. Because sometimes we just don't notice what we're thinking, or we don't notice how awful it is to really think that about yourself. Okay. And you look at these negative criticisms, and there's a few things you can do from here. One thing, if you need an eye opener, try reading this to a friend. Try saying these words to someone else about them. Obviously let them know about this experiment. Have them do it too. Both of you and your bestie or your sister or your mom or your daughter, whatever, or even you and your husband. I mean, we could see the dynamics different between men and women here. But because women tend to be a lot more self-critical, which really, I mean, segue, but we need to lean more into our masculine energy here and think of ourselves a little bit higher than what we are, right? Be a bit more of a man when it comes to how you think about yourself and what you think you're capable of. Just, download some audacity, right? Let's do that. Anyways, back to the scheduled program. But look at these. You can both do like just a brain dump of self-criticism and read it to each other, and you'll realize just how bad it feels. to say these things about someone else, and you're going around saying this to yourself on a regular basis, completely like just letting this voice of criticism go unchecked, no wonder you feel the way you do. No wonder your confidence is completely shook. No wonder you just feel like you're incapable of anything. No wonder you feel like you're struggling. No wonder you feel like you're an absolute hot mess because you let yourself think this about yourself. That voice of criticism cannot go unchecked and unchallenged. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to challenge that nasty voice of criticism, that mean girl in your head. Okay, so once you have it on paper, whether you did a thought inventory or a brain dump, whichever way you did it, when it's on paper, you can look at these and you can start uncovering one at a time, really looking into it and thinking, where does this thought come from? Who told me that? Who is the voice of authority who said that was true for me? Why do I think this is true? What evidence do I actually have to support this negative thought about myself? And what can I say instead? What is true instead? Because is this thought really my truth? Am I really not enough? Am I really bad at this one thing I think I'm bad at? And if I am bad at that thing, why does that have to mean that I am less of a person? Like I used to think I was a really bad wife and mom because I was not good at cooking. Since when is lacking a skill in culinary expertise? How is that even related to motherhood? A good mom feeds her kids. A good mom does not have to be good at cooking. A good mom does not have to know her way around a kitchen. A good mom just has to use her resources to find food for her children to make sure they do not starve to death, right? A good mom doesn't have to know how to properly season food. You don't have to. That's not part of it. And there's no like there's no morality to cooking. Like your culinary skills do not define if you are good or bad. All it is your culinary skills. And it's okay if you're lacking in culinary skills. Um, Things like that. Look at your thoughts. Look at all this negativity that you have collected and question it. Just because you're not good at something, why does that mean something negative about you as a whole? It's okay to be bad at things. You don't have to think bad about yourself because of it. All right. We need to raise like the thermometer of how we think about ourselves, right? Like you need to start thinking about yourself as hot, not a hot mess. Um, and as we kind of slowly uncover all of the things on your thought inventory or your brain dump, as you're looking at these things, you can start coming up with truth statements. Okay. I mean, you can call them affirmations, you can call them power statements, but what I want you to do is start focusing on what the actual truth is. What is the actual truth about this thing you're saying about yourself? If you're telling me that you're a bad mom because you can't cook, your truth is your culinary skills have nothing to do with your motherhood. You are a good mom because dot, dot, dot. You're a good mom because you feed your kids. Okay? We're going to remove the negative statement out of it so that every time that negative statement does come in, every time you're thinking as you're making another box of Kraft macaroni and cheese, or, you're ordering food for dinner, or you're just, whatever you do to feed your kids, whenever you're thinking, I'm a bad mom because I chose this, I want you to think about how you're a good mom because you're feeding your kids. All right. Fed is best, and that goes on forever, right? I mean, we all know that the big debate between formula and breastfeeding is if fed is best. I don't care how you're feeding your kids. Yeah, one might be like scientifically better for you. Like I think breast milk is just the coolest thing in the world because like you just can't hold it to formula. Like we used breast milk on like chapped skin and how it builds its own antibodies, and yeah, it's really great. But I also formula fed 2 out of 3 of my kids because we had to, because fed is best. We had to feed the kids somehow. Yeah, I definitely missed having the access of breast milk because of all of its other really cool properties that formula just doesn't have. But didn't make me less of a mom because I fed them formula. It just meant I missed out on the cool extra benefits of breast milk. Oh well, my kids are fine. we tend to still follow that argument when it comes to other foods too, right? Like, yeah, really nutrient dense foods are really great, but most kids aren't going to eat that. Most kids aren't eating the vegetables they need. So you buy them applesauce that has veggies in it. You buy them the Minute Maid juice that has veggies in it. You make them a smoothie and sneak some veggies in it. You do what you can. You give them what they're willing to eat, but fed is always best. Okay? And this is not a nutrition podcast, so let's just get back to that. Take that principle and apply it to everything. Like, yeah, there could be a better way to do things, but the way you're doing it might be okay too. Getting it done is better than being frozen in the state of perfectionism that makes it not get done at all, right? Like, yeah, there might be a best way of cleaning your kitchen, but just having your kitchen mold free is enough. Having enough dishes to eat off of is enough. Enough is good enough. And we have to stop thinking that there's something bad about the bare minimum. Sometimes doing the bare minimum is going to save your sanity, but it's only going to save your sanity if you think positive thoughts about yourself in the process. Because if you're doing the bare minimum to save all your energy, but you're thinking negative thoughts about yourself because of it, you're thinking, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I'm failing here because I'm not meeting this imaginary mark I created. Then it's not good for your sanity. Tearing yourself down is not good for your sanity. Being unkind to yourself is not good for your sanity, and it's not good for your kids. Because above almost everything else, your kids need a sane mom. Not always a happy mom. You don't always have to be fully happy, but to have that capacity for happiness, to be able to look at your kid do something really cool and be like, oh my gosh, that makes me really happy to see. I can actually enjoy this moment. That is so powerful. That is probably like the most important thing in motherhood to me is having the capacity for happiness, is being able to show up with sanity intact. Because if we are completely just like irrationally irritable, if we have zero energy, if we have zero capacity for happiness, if we are just this miserable wreck of a mess, our kids feel that. Our kids feed off that. Our kids might not be able to articulate consciously that you're just a shell of a human who hates everything about her life. Um, they may not be able to consciously gauge how miserable you are. But if you're constantly walking in the room miserable, they're gonna feel it. And, they'll start questioning things about themselves. Why is my mom never happy with me? Why doesn't my mom love me more? You know, and we got to avoid that kind of thing from happening because above all else, your kids need to know that they are loved. But you have to open up your own heart in order to love them, right? And if we're closing off our heart and letting it get dark and shutting down all of those feelings, we're severing that relationship with them. And I think that is the most important part about motherhood, right? You can feed your kids frozen chicken nuggets and Kraft mac and cheese every single night. And I'm still going to call you a good mom if you're doing what you need to do in order to love them fully. The most important thing about motherhood is letting your kids know that they are loved, showing them that they are loved. And that means taking care of yourself. And that means not living in this constant state of self hatred because you're just pummeling your own self, beating your own self to death with negative thoughts about yourself or your life. If you're constantly saying, like, I don't make enough money, I don't like my house, my clothes don't feel good, I hate my body, I hate the way I think, I hate that I'm not good at this. If you're constantly filling yourself with that, you're just creating this like cloud of darkness around you, and other people can feel it. And honestly, in order to just that cloud of darkness is going to build walls. And in order to tear those walls down and actually have relationships with the important people in your life, you have to take care of you. And taking care of you starts with taking care of your mind because you're not going to take care of your body. You're not going to take care of your personal hygiene. You're not going to do that skincare routine. You're not going to shower regularly. You're not going to take care of your hair. You're not going to dress nice. You're not going to eat well. You're not going to drink enough water. You're not going to get physical activity and movement and exercise in. You're not going to have a thriving, intimate life if you don't love yourself first. because people who hate themselves do not take care of themselves. People who take care of themselves love themselves. You're not going to fully love those around you if you don't love yourself first. That is a fact. You'll try and you'll always feel like there's something missing, there's something off, and it's because you didn't love yourself first. Oftentimes we hate in other people what we hate in ourselves. Take a look at yourself. Open up your love channels to yourself. Start meditating on self-love. Overcome those negative thoughts and fill that with truth. Replace it with the truth. Use affirmations, use power statements, use whatever you got to, use Bible verses, use song lyrics, use quotes, whatever you have to do to reinforce these thoughts of self-love and compassion and grace and gratitude, and just rebuild a whole new foundation of thoughts about yourself, right? Build it on this strong foundation because your words matter. Words, your thoughts lead to beliefs, lead to actions, and that creates your entire life. There's some quote out there that says it better. You know what I mean. Your thoughts are powerful, and it starts there. And that was the greatest thing that has changed the way I show up in my life, was first changing the way I allow myself to think about myself. All right. And there's some statements that you can use. Let me share a few with you. From Elizabeth from Emotionally Healthy Legacy, I am a good mom who's having a hard time. That is a really great quote. Also, what is the one I really love? I am already enough. I am already enough. There's nothing you have to do to become enough. You're already a full human. You already have full human value. You're already enough. My best is good enough. I did my best, and my best is good enough. I am surrounded by abundant blessings. All right. Even if you feel a lot of resistance around a lot of the things you think, maybe creating an affirmation about the life you're living. I love my children. I love my life. I am blessed to be living the life I'm living. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I am becoming the person I wish to be. These can all be really great power statements that don't always like rub you the wrong way when you feel like it, because a lot of affirmations can feel dishonest. Like especially like ones where it's like, oh, I am smart, I am beautiful, a lot of I am statements can sometimes raise that red flag of anxiety because it feels so untrue because you've been so into these negative self-hated thoughts. But to think something about your surroundings instead, like I am surrounded by beautiful things. I am abundantly blessed. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I am becoming ... Those can feel a lot better to think if that red flag of anxiety is being raised. That is what I have for you, my friend. Don't forget to get the thought inventory in the description below. I love you so, so very much. Oh, one more thing before you go. If you want to help support the podcast without spending a single dime, if you want to help me to help you, please go on Spotify. Even if you have to create a new account, go to Spotify and subscribe. Even if you don't listen on Spotify, just go to Spotify and subscribe because that is my host platform and it really counts it helps my statistics and it helps me to be able to get sponsorships if my subscribers are subscribed on Spotify. So if you can go to Spotify and subscribe, don't even have to listen over there, just subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. That would be super, super helpful to me. It is a simple thing and it won't cost you anything. And if you go to Apple, if you listen on Apple Podcasts or have an iTunes account, please go to Apple and write a review, even if it's just love it, helps so much. Or even if the review is just like a couple of heart emojis or something, putting a review in, give me a 5 stars because you love me. I love you. I'd give you 5 stars for listening if I could. Do that. That would be super helpful. So subscribe on Spotify, review on Apple, and I will be forever eternally grateful. And also, my gratitude being extended to you, let me know let me know. Let me tell you, let me let you know. I have to let you know that I have an epic sale that has officially begun. Because I am closing down my Teachable store. I'm pulling back. I'm spending less money in my business so that I can spend more time with my family. And I am pouring mostly into the podcast instead of into these other platforms and everything everywhere else. So Teachable, I am pulling back. I'm not giving them my money anymore. Um, anyways, uh, so yes, that means everything on Teachable is being price cut, price slashed. The Love Your Home course, I have had that. I had that on promo recently. You no longer need the promo code to get it for a flat rate of $33. Now, if you just go straight to the Love Your Home page, which is going to be linked below, of course. If you go straight to Love Your Home, you can just buy it for $33. One fee, one monthly, one payment, no longer a payment plan. Remember, this used to be priced at $180. I got really mad at inflation, took the price down to $99 or 3 payments of $33. And now you can just have it for $33. And I did the same thing to my first signature course, Unblock Your Joy. So, Love Your Home, it's all about your mindset towards your home, how you show up in your home, simple tips and tricks in order to make home life easier. And Unblock Your Joy is all about mindset. It's all about gratitude. It's all about really a lot of opening up your heart for love and joy. And if you're really resonating with today's episode, I would say Unblock Your Joy definitely, definitely is something up your alley that you should look into. So go check those out. See what you think. If you love them, get them. $33. They will only be available for like the next month. All right. I love you so much, my friend. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I so, so appreciate your support. Next time.
Are you feeling totally buried in responsibility and burnt out on showing up? Been there, and I created this totally free bundle of resources for you. You have to get the Get Started Guide if you haven't already. If you're ready to strip off the unnecessary baggage and limiting beliefs you've been carrying around, if you're so done making things more difficult than they need to be, if you're ready for guilt-free rest and enjoyment in your life, you need the Get Started Guide. This instant download is full of my favorite resources: the Mindset Makeover, the Stress Less Toolkit, and my super trendy and adorable kitchen templates to make meals and groceries a little bit simpler and a whole lot prettier. The Get Started Guide is made up of tools and practices to help you cope with stress and anxiety. And because so much of your happiness is determined by your mindset, this instant download is what you need to start thinking about the way that you think, so you can overcome what's overwhelming you, take control of your days, and love the life you've got. Get your free download of the Get Started Guide today and get started loving your life. Find it in the description below